Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to be talking about margin and padding. Margin and padding are two very important parts of CSS, which allow you to kind of push your content around your screen a little bit. Um, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've changed my HTML document. I've deleted everything inside the body, and I've created a divider and a paragraph tag. Just two simple things. Paragraph tag is inside the divider, and it just says some stuff, and that's it. My CSS, I have changed. I've deleted the old stuff, and I've just kept the body, and I just made the div color to white. So if we look at our page, it just looks like this right now. Sorry, let me refresh. It just looks like this. So what I'm going to be talking about is the box model and margin and padding all in one. So I don't know if you've noticed, but if you look at your page, you'll see this green margin that surrounds your divider. So you'd expect your divider to be kind of pushed all the way to the left and up to the top. However, there is a margin inside your body tag which is causing this. And to explain this, I need to explain the box model. So I could go through a bunch of images on Google. However, the easiest way to do this, if you have Google Chrome, is just to right-click, press Inspect Element, and you'll have to wait for the inspector to come up or the developer tools. But you see when you do that, you get all this content that just explodes all over your screen. But this is great because it allows us to look at our code and what's actually happening on our page as reviewing it, which makes it really nice. So I'm going to resize this so you can see, but if you notice, if you look at the bottom right, you may need to adjust your screen, but you have a box model. And what the box model is it is a model of how CSS lays out its content. On every single page, on every single element, there is a box model. And what that box model is it has 1, 2, 3 components to it. It has a margin, it has a border, and it has padding. And then your content is directly in the center. So as I'm hovering over this, you see my paragraph tag filling with color as I'm hovering over things. And the easiest way to do this is to select your paragraph tag in your code. So you see I've got my HTML, head, body, div, paragraph tag. I'm not going to go over the developer tools right now, but if you can figure it out, great. If not, just watch what I'm doing. It's okay. You won't need to know how to do this. So if I hover over margin, you see a yellow line, a box surround my content. So what that's saying is that there is a margin around my paragraph tag, which is making my paragraph tag stick out a little bit. So you can also see that my content, which in this blue surrounding, is 1630 pixels by 18 pixels. So 1630 wide and 18 high, or XY. And my margin is 16 up and down, or vertical. So the easiest way to do this is just to look at the yellow surrounding your content and where the highlights pop in. So you see the padding doesn't exist right now, border doesn't exist right now, but margin exists. I can also click on my body, and you see that there's a margin surrounding my body also, but there's no border and no padding. So to explain this better, and to get rid of these lines surrounding it, we can go into CSS and we can destroy that. So I'm going to look at my code, just position this a little bit better, and we look at my index. We have a body, divider, and paragraph. To make this really simple, let's just say that my body, I want to have a margin of 0. Okay, so if I save this and I refresh my page, you'll notice that it gets shifted to the left because I've deleted the margin. Now, of course, we have this top margin, and we can attempt to take that out, but sometimes you can't, but let's just try. We have our divider, and let's set that margin to 0. Refresh. And you see it didn't get taken out directly. Now, the thing about CSS that I have to explain to you guys is that it takes a lot of trial and error to get the exact formatting you want, which is really annoying, but it's really the only way to do it. So if I go here, I can try multiple things. I can try accessing the paragraph tag, see if that works. Yeah, here you go. So the thing about CSS is that it's a lot of just pushing things around and trying different things. Now, you may be wondering what I just did, and I'll explain that to you by opening the inspector. So I can scroll down, and you see that now my margin is 0 because I set it to 0 on my paragraph tag, and on my body, it's 0 also. So what is the difference between padding and margin? Because we're not going to talk about border right now. Well, padding is what's directly inside of what you're manipulating, if that makes sense. So I have my divider, right? And inside my divider, I have my paragraph tag. So if I added padding to my divider, the divider would grow, but it wouldn't push outwards from the exterior. It would only push the content inside. So I'll explain the difference of that right now. I'm going to go create a div access or selector, and I'm going to say that I want my padding to be set to 12 px. Refresh. And you see that it gets pushed outward. Now I can also set my margin to be 12 px, and you see it has the same effect. Now that's because we're accessing the div only. However, I can go ahead, delete this, refresh, you see it gets bumped back. Now I can go ahead, delete that. But if I add padding to my paragraph tag, you'll notice that the div itself grows because I'm adding padding to my paragraph tag. So if I inspect this element, and we wait for the debugger to pop up, and if I hover over P's padding, you'll see that there is a green surrounding which says that I am pushing the paragraph tag out, basically making the paragraph tag so fat that the divider tag needs to grow just to fit it. Now, of course, if I added padding to my divider, it doesn't exactly know what to do because the divider itself is just a container. So what it thinks I'm trying to do is I'm trying to push my divider outwards from the page itself, which is something I don't want to do. So when it comes to containers, padding and margin are basically the same exact thing. So if you want to make your content on the inside bigger, you should use padding. So I know I've just said a bunch of stuff and you're probably really confused, and that's okay because it is confusing, so I'll just review. We started off by inspecting what the box model was, and we went over margin and padding. And the thing about the box model we've learned is that we have margin, border, padding, from greatest to least, margin, border, and padding, and then our content in the center. So the box model allows us to push content outwards, basically resizing elements. We've learned that margin talks about stuff on the outside of our element, and padding talks about stuff on the inside of our element. We didn't talk about border, which is okay, but we'll talk about that later. And then in the center of our box model is our content itself. So that's basically it for padding, margin, and border. And once again, don't fully understand it, that's okay. As time goes on, guys, I hope you know that if you don't understand something immediately, I promise that it will come back up in later examples. And then once we do that, it'll make stuff a lot easier to understand. So if you're not fully understanding margin and padding right now, it's okay, just let it sink in, think about it a little bit, and I promise we'll come back to it. But as of now, that's it, and I will see you in the next tutorial.